welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm your host, Ian Carlos Crawford.
And I'm Sabrina Ryan.
And I am here today with writer and newsletter provocateur of Mall Goth on Substack,
Rose Domu.
Hi, Rose.
And we have from Star Trek Lower Decks, Carmen Sandiego on Netflix, Rick and Morty, and My Little Pony,
Amanda Wong.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
So good to have both of you here. I want to take a poll, what everyone thinks. I feel like So Faith and Buffy clearly there's tension there. I always read it as Faith, and maybe this is me projecting because I always wanted to dress like Faith and be Faith. I feel like Faith is the one that clearly wants to fuck, and Buffy's the straight girl that probably would dabble, but isn't reading too much and isn't thinking about it. But is flirting with her, but isn't thinking about it, but Faith is thinking about it. And I feel like that's why she asks her about Xander, because she's hoping they fuck the same guy.
Looking at it now, I read this as it is, as Buffy always is, a metaphor for something. And I do think it's just kind of the most sapphic episode of Buffy.
Yes.
And Buffy and Faith are just very coded being in a relationship. And it's Buffy having this one relationship in her life that no one understands, but it feels so good to her, and then it progresses too far, and so she retreats back into the safety of heterosexuality. I mean, there's moments like the line when Joyce tells her, when she's going out with Faith, as long as you're being safe.
Yeah.
It just could not be clearer.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like the coming out episode where it's okay, we know what you're drawing from here. I'm not going to hear any lip about that.
We get it. Amanda, I'm curious your opinion.
I agree. I came into this episode thinking this is definitely the most sapphic episode for Buffy and Faith ship. For Buffy and Faith shippers, your ship it's not quite coming home because they never made it canonical, but you can see the ship on the shoreline. And it's funny that you bring up the exchange where Faith is asking if she's ever slept with Xander, and then Buffy is no, he's a friend. You don't do that stuff with friends. And then Faith is so what are friends for? And then gives that really flirtatious smile. There's lots of really flirtatious smiles in this entire episode.
I mean, let's not cut to it, right? But the breath on the glass with the
oh my god, my knees went weak.
I was Eliza Dushku, can you throw me across the room?
She could. She actually could.
She should.
She will.
And all her hey girlfriends.
Yeah, and it's funny because I mean, I've never had her on the podcast. I would love to. But I met her at one of the Comic Cons I went to. It was the Sunday, when it's kind of dying down. There's 2 hours left and her table was empty. And I was so excited. So I went over and she came out and put her arm around me. And I have never felt one of those awkward straight nerds before, but I felt like one then because I was oh my God, she's so hot. Oh my God, she's touching me. Where do I put my arm? Oh my God. And then she looked me up and down and went, you're really cute. And I was oh my God. One of the hottest people in the world just told me I'm fucking cute. Jesus Christ.
That is what sells it too, is the we all are if I was Sarah Michelle Gellar, I would. Or if I was Buffy, I guess. But you're if I was, yes.
Yeah, well, let's write the real person fanfic.
But you're I totally would. And it wouldn't work with I don't know. Maybe if you'd gotten Angelina Jolie in there or somebody in the same vibe, but it just works so great because of her. It's really it's a star turn for her. It really is.
But it's also with so much Buffy, you think, even though Buffy is so of its time, if this was made today, they would have dated. They would have hooked up. It's all there, and so little would have to change to make that happen.
Yeah. That's a really good point. That aside from the actual kissing, not much else would need to change.
I mean, want, take, have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gets, I'm yeah, you're fucking right. Want, take, have. I get
want, take, have me.
Yeah. I'm yeah, Faith, I want to watch you steal that crossbow and then slap me in the face.
And there's something about sapphic yearning that is being channeled with feminine rage, like just the pure unbridled like fuck everybody else energy of Faith, it resonates with me now more than ever. And like lesbianism as a rebellion, like yes, like I don't know why, but that makes it so hot when you've set the tone that like this is like fuck you, you know what I mean? Like oh yes, fuck me.
So we get, they're fighting these vampires. They beat them all. They're all wearing like weird medieval robes.
They're besorted.
Yes, I forgot about that when I was watching this episode. I was like, wait, why the fuck do they have those on?
Giving Ren Fair down.
Yeah. She is protected, honey.
So then Buffy realizes the weapons were stolen. Dun, dun, dun. We cut to the mayor. What do we all think of the mayor? Because I do.
Oh, the mayor. I love the mayor.
Right?
He is behind Glory as the best big bad.
Yeah. Yes, I would agree with
good.
that. He's just like fun. I mean, like one of you said this earlier. I don't remember which one. That like it felt like we didn't get villains like this. Like now, this would be like not that out of the ordinary, but it did feel like back then this was like so novel. Like, oh, the villains, it's like cheery 50s Leave It to Beaver dad who also just wants to bring the apocalypse. Like
I don't think we have villains like this anymore. I think the mayor is very singular.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. And
That's true.
And, even later on when we get, like, I do like his relationship with Faith. I mean, he's having her kill people, but, like, I like that he genuinely, it's like...
An abusive boss mentorship thing that really feels good and looks good on the surface. Babe, I get it. I get it like 3 times over. And it's especially people that are traumatized, that are susceptible to that kind of, like, exploitation. And it always looks like someone like the mayor. It's always some dude in office or position of power like playing you. And we don't really get a ton of that with Buffy, right? Like we don't see any of that. So it's good to see, I don't know, especially in a season that's so where like it feels like femininity itself is like sort of being explored more than ever as opposed to just like romance or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the mayor is such an avatar of institutional power, which Buffy has to contest with in various ways, throughout the series. But it's like the mayor is the final boss of Sunnydale in a way.
Ooh,
it's kind of the final boss of being a teenager. It's like in your small town, in your small life, who could be the highest authority figure? And at that point in your life, it's like the mayor is like God, is like the president.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, Rose, that's a really good point because season 2, the big bad, was so personal to Buffy. It was Buffy's most intimate personal relationship. And then season 3, there's so many examples of institutional powers that are against Buffy. Not just the mayor, who also controls the police force, but also the school with Principal Snyder. And then later, with the Watchers Council, with the introduction of a new character this episode with Wesley.
Yeah.
I feel how Faith felt.
I screw that.
Because I eventually love him, I'm like, oh, he's such a dork. Like I just get like very like,
No, he gives me like annoying little brother energy, and it's like I don't care who you grow up to be. You're a fucking dweeb. Get out of here.
I am not featuring him ever. I mean, I'm not happy. Allison Hannigan and him seem to still be happy, but no. Pass.
I don't see it.
And then we get the credits and post credits. The schools they name that Willow got into. I get it. She's supposed to be but like it's a little ridiculous, right?
You don't know what kind of charm she put on all those applications one at a time. You know what I mean? Slipped in a 20. You don't know. Her parents are clearly upper middle class.
Well, yeah, I think her mom is probably like a very well respected, like academic mind. So there's some kind of generational privilege going on there. She's a legacy.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
Her uncle's a weatherman. So. She's got an in.
I just love Willow is so cute. And like this Willow for me, someone yelled at me for saying this on Twitter, but I think of like season 3 as like you were saying, Rose, like this is the cast you think of. This is the version of Willow I think of, the like more awkward anxious, nerdy Willow.
Oh, this is
What?
peak.
Who would yell at you for that?
Oh, so you both agree? Oh my god. Okay, good.
No, I absolutely agree because
This is a great Willow.
because I think the next episode after this is Doppelgangland, right?
Yeah.
And to me, I mean, that's one of my, I think, top 10 Buffy episodes. And to me, like, that is Willow's crystallized form.
Can I interject that this scene does have one thing that I consider an overall weakness for season 3, as strong as it is?
Yes.
One of the problems with season 3 is that around after Cordelia breaks up with Xander, rightfully, it might be because I had extra knowledge that Cordelia was leaving the show, but she has a lot less to do this season, and then there are some episodes where it feels like the actress comes in for one scene to say something really mean to Xander, and then you don't see her again for the rest of the episode. And then I find that kind of a shame because I really like Cordelia's character.
Yeah.
I know, it's kind of like exactly what happens with Angel, where they're both utterly pointless, but it's like I want more Cordelia and less Angel.
An Angel, that's fine.
Yeah, what if Xander just came in once an episode and said something mean to Cordelia? Let's try that.
Oh, yeah, please.
So Willow and Buffy make plans to study that night, which is important for later. And then Willow says that Giles was looking for her, and she goes in to see Giles. And who is in the library? Amanda.
Wesley Wyndham-Pryce.
Yes, the fact that I do love him and Giles banter. I love Giles having like a dorkier mini me.
It's good to show us how far Giles has grown.
Yes.
Oh, it makes him look so good by comparison.
Yes.
And he and Wesley have a very good dynamic because Giles becomes so much instantly cooler with him around.
Yeah.
Giles has so many good lines in this episode because of Wesley. I love sarcastic, snippy Giles.
Yes.
Yeah.
The like tone he takes is even like he changes his tone to such like condescending shittiness, and I love it.
And you know what's nice is that like Wesley's so dislikable that he's not even aware. He's not even picking up on any of the shade. Like he's just like smooth brain, I'm right. I couldn't possibly believe that anyone would be coming for me. It's totally fine. Not even aware. And it's delightful because, you know, let's punch someone that's not even going to feel it. Let's all take a turn. You know, fuck him.
Also, the acting and direction in this coming scene is so good with Giles and Buffy always like leaning away from Wesley whenever he's trying to control the situation.
Yeah. And I love that like Buffy is not shaking his hand. She's just like, is he evil? The last one was evil. Like she's immediately over him.
Standing there in her weird fucking outfit. Why do they so frequently this season dress Buffy like she is Joyce's age? I don't know. It's like she goes from one scene wearing leather pants to the next scene wearing like a tasteful pink sweater set with a huge fucking flower clip in her hair. And it's so weird.
I do think in this episode specifically, they were dressing her with like really bright pastel colors for costume designs because then her outfit matches Faith a lot more throughout the episode when she is mirroring Faith's life philosophy, and then by the end of it, she's like back to her pastel colors.
You're so right. I didn't even think that there was a reason for it.
When the symbiote has her, she can wear dark leather.
But Rose, I'm glad you pointed that out because I think about that flower. Like, what the fuck is that clip? Right?
It's so weird.
It looks so fucking dumb.
Yeah. So I do like that he of course picks up on, oh, now no one likes me, and they like both go to clean their glasses. And I don't know if you all notice, like we see Giles behind him and Giles realizes like, oh shit, we're both doing the same thing. And he kind of
it was a nice touch.
Yeah. Cause it's like cartoony, but then I like that he notices it. So outside we have Buffy and Faith talking about Wesley. And I like how Buffy just calls him a dork. Like,
yeah,
it's a great insult.
Like this teenager is calling this adult a fucking dork. Like that like burns. I would be very upset if my students called me a dork, which I'm sure they do.
Listen, walking the streets of New York City when a young person insults or scoffs at me or like looks at me like, what is up with you? Nothing cuts deeper.
Oh, yeah. That's when it's like, okay, I have to kill myself now.
I need a full makeover. Oh my God.
I'll let these kids catch this train, and then when the next one comes, I'm just going to ride that into the darkness.
Or jump in front of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. I do love this conversation between Buffy and Faith when they start talking about slaying and their like different points of view on it.
Because, Buffy was being coy, like, and I feel like because she like does do like the look down, and then she's like, whoa, Faith, it's not that horny, and it's like, well,
and it's also, I think it's, they're such different girls, women, and such different slayers, and they have very different journeys. But I think in this conversation specifically, like when Faith has this line where she says, slaying's what we were built for.
Yeah.
Faith understands something about their power instinctively, like the primal part of it, that it takes Buffy a really long time to learn, and actually is, in season 5, kind of the end of Buffy's journey, if we're thinking like her dying is the end of her journey, even though it ultimately isn't. And Faith like gets a lot of stuff wrong and is missing a lot of what Buffy has, but she does have something that Buffy doesn't. She gets the what Buffy like learns from the first Slayer in Restless, about the like primeval hunter that lives inside of them, and it's a thing that Buffy like at some point like realizes that she needs to get in touch with.
Yeah. I think she realized that she's going to need to work around her own boundaries and like her own limits. And in order to test those, especially as a young person, you have to kind of walk up to them. And if you're going to be dealing with some dark shit and you have some shit to go through, you're going to have to kind of know like where you land and like what you're able to see and what you're able to do. And like, I think there is like something about like needing to tap into their, like, cause you look at like Kendra to Faith. It's like Kendra was the other side of Buffy. That was when Buffy seemed like the real wild child because she chewed gum or whatever. And then you come around to Faith, who's this other side, this other duality, like the shadow self or whatever, the Joker to her Batman. And like there is like a commonality though between like what drives them. Like if hate drives Faith, she's still being driven by like emotion and like love and passion or whatever that drives Buffy. Like, she has to figure out what that is. And also, I don't think it's always good things that drive Buffy. Like, a lot of darkness drives Buffy. And I think she needs to, like, I think she needed to, like, look it in the eyes. And I think Faith made it attractive to do. Like, she made it seem like it's so easy and sexy. Like, let's just do this, right? But
let's be bad girls.
Yeah, let's be bad. I love it.
Do you want to be bad?
Let's be bad.
Then we cut to the library, and I do like Wesley reading from Giles's like early Watcher days with Buffy. And I like Giles being like, you get used to her. Like him like immediately kind of like being like, nope, that's not true anymore. Like, I love her. Also, like, just the worst strategy to get to know like his thoughts or to study any of it is to be like, I'll start when you knew her the least. Yeah. This will be an accurate portrayal of her. Yeah, and I don't know. I like, that's something I would like to read. I'm like, give me a book, to publish a book about Giles' Watcher diary, where it's like he progressively becomes more fatherly, but like at the beginning can't stand her. Also, like, it just is, I don't know. I feel like when I think of Buffy and Willow and like some of their gayest moments, this is like one of them that comes to mind. And oddly enough, the other one is when they are about to kill each other and enemies, and like it looks like they're going to kiss and they should have kissed.
Listen, Buffy penetrates her eventually. We'll get there.
True. But like, I just, Faith doing the little heart, like,
oh my God. I mean, hello, come to Melissa Etheridge, come to my window. Like, where is that drag number? It is so good because it's like, it's a classroom. They're all quietly taking a test, and there's just this girl standing in the window, like getting that girl who's like always fighting with people to jump outside. And it's like, could not be gayer.
Right?
So gay. Oh my God. And then their gay ass dancing.
The dance scene.
Oh, I love the dance scene. And then I love that there's two X-Men things that followed from it. One is that the dance scene was used as a reference for dancing animation in X-Men Evolution.
Yes.
And the other one is that the song that they are dancing to is also in the first trailer for the first X-Men movie.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
I don't
I
know
know that.
Oh my God, the lore. So one thing I clocked is that I think all the guys that Faith is dancing with when Buffy abandons her to go talk to Angel, they're all super gay. And that makes sense because they're all like, diva, yes.
Woman does some sociopathic shit. Her gaze. Slay diva.
Rose, it's funny that you should mention that because I was going to say I am friends with one of these extras that dances with them, and he is gay.
Oh my God,
Knew it.
incredible.
We did an Insta Live together, and he was like, the like lives that the extras led on Buffy is so weird because it was all the same extras. You just don't, there's like two of them that you do recognize, but like he's in a bunch of episodes, but this is the only episode I could like pinpoint him in. But apparently they always use the same extras to make it be like, this is the class of Sunnydale. Like, so they would all just like wait on set a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like Degrassi.
Yeah. And there was like a hierarchy of like the featured extras that like did get a lot of screen time. Like there's that one blonde girl who's tall and kind of looks like Harmony, but isn't Harmony. And
Yeah.
she's like next to Buffy at graduation. She's in a billion scenes. But yes, it does make sense that it'd be a bunch of gay men dancing around Faith. Like,
Oh yeah.
so Angel comes in, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Stinks up the place.
Ugh, pointless.
So
He
annoying.
has such flop energy this season.
He comes in like a yawn. Unstoppable. They're ruining everything.
Captain Forehead.
And then is this when we finally meet Balthazar, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's you know what, I'm gonna say this. There's a lot of weight jokes in this episode.
There are.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and even in unrelated scenes, right? Like Joyce at one point is like, I can't have waffles because of the calories.
I know, it's like they felt like they had to do it because they brought up Kathy.
And it's a little weird. And like they never flat out say like that they're like sizist. They never flat out say like we're fat phobic, fat people are gross. But they do a pretty thorough job of really implying that throughout the episode. And I don't know if that's just 90s or this particular writer had an axe to grind this week, but it is pointed and worth noting.
Yeah.
It's weird. And also I think Balthazar, it's kind of his like character design and just like the whole idea of him feels kind of taken from one of the villains in Dune, the guy who like floats.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
Yes.
maybe Stellan Skarsgård plays him in the movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, Baron something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then when this season aired, this episode came out about a year after Blade, which also had a very similar looking vampire named Pearl.
Yes.
There's also a very, very fat monster design in that one too.
Yeah.
Something was in the Slim Fast in the late 90s. We were like post Fen. We just fucking hate fat people.
Yeah, it was meth. Meth was in the Slim Fast.
So we see Balthazar. He punishes one of the vampire minions, breaks his neck, whatever. Delves out his orders, and Buffy and Faith are watching. And Buffy says they need more firepower. And Faith immediately sees this like sports hunting shop across the street.
Sure, there's so many of those in small towns.
Of course.
And they break in, and I do like her line of, think they're insured? Because Amanda, to go back to your point of us being the nerds, we would be the ones worried about something like that.
I would be so worried about it. I mean, Faith would be like, come on, be gay, do crime. And I'd be like, no, I can't. We'll get in trouble.
I would be like, you know, the income I have saved and the amount of revenue I have saved by protecting this town. You know
Exactly.
what? You're subsidizing me with your fucking taxes you don't pay, dicks, sporting goods.
You're subsidizing me. So yeah, and Buffy kind of has like her peak Faith moment, right? I feel like here is when she hits her peak Faith, and then she immediately like rolls back because she's like, oh my God, the police. Like, and Faith is not pressed at all that the police are there, which I love.
Yeah, she's a cab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faith's like, oh, cute. You have your gun. That's so cute for you. Like, I'm going to fuck you up.
One thing I noticed, so the bow that Faith steals, that's the one that she eventually shoots Angel with, correct?
Oh.
Yeah, and now that you say it,
I think you're right. Yeah.
I also like that they, double down on Faith because when they're in the back of the cop car, she says about the one cop, oh, he's butch, and that is very queer coded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I also like when they're in the cop car and then Faith says, come on, we got to get out of here. Like, you can't save the world from jail, which is very
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Also true. Also 100% true.
Yeah, abolish prisons.
Next week on Buffy, we're going to abolish prison.
Yeah, no, I did think of that when she's like, can't save the world from prison. I'm like, oh no, but then you go to prison next year. Like, what is it? The police ask them if they're in a girl gang, and she says, yeah, we're the Slayers.
It very, very, we are the weirdos, mister.
Yes.
Totally.
It is like that. And like they kick the back of the seat and like knock the cops out and they crash. I appreciate that for Buffy's guilt. They don't have anything bad happen to them because Buffy would have been a whole episode of her.
Her guilt, though. Okay, let's get to it. We need to talk about her guilt.
All right.
We progress to some fighting, some scenes of fighting, where Faith is going a little rough and tumble. She's a little enthusiastic. Now, Faith ends up killing a man. Can I just say, Buffy kills people, right? Like she killed the Glory like hunting knights in season 5. We haven't gotten there yet, but she also killed Ted. And she thought Ted was just like a problematic boyfriend, like a bad guy.
Yeah.
She was down to kill Ted. And so Faith accidentally kills a guy. Like I think Buffy was recoiling from her own darkness and projecting a lot of that on Faith. Because Faith killed a guy and that sucks. But I kind of agree with her a little bit when she's like, I don't, like later we'll get to it, but she's like, I don't care. I'm like, I don't care. Like, how many people has she saved? It was an accident. I'm really sorry, but
it was an accident.
It was.
But I think this episode really sets up like crime and punishment for Buffy to like teach Buffy a lesson. Like, as someone was saying, when they break into the store and Buffy is at her ultimate faithness, they immediately comically get caught red-handed right away. So the first moment that Buffy kind of like really gives into the darkness, it's like, oh no, you did something bad, you have to get in trouble. And then she's, back on her goody two-shoes bullshit for the rest of the episode and does not lend Faith any empathy.
It's like a snap back and it's so rough. And frankly, I have seen this happen with whirlwind friendships in my life too, or like whirlwind dates that you're infatuated with, and then something you're like, wow, I got pretty sucked in there for a second, and you snap back, or the other person snaps back, and like at that age, that can be pretty traumatic. And poor Faith is like already pinwheel eyes emoji,
And Faith is also supposed to be 17, right?
Yeah, it's brutal.
I think also when I watched this when I was a teen, and I'm only 2 years younger than they're all supposed to be, right? And like, because Faith felt more adult, I remember like for the longest time I watched this thinking Faith was like the older Slayer, like she was like 19 or 20, because she doesn't seem to go to school. But like, yes, I think Rose, you are correct. I think she is supposed to be like the same age, if not like maybe a year younger than Buffy. So like she is a kid, and like she's a kid living in a fucking motel, and like
who was handed all of this power and has no family or guidance. She's seemingly been on her own for a really long time. And the first time that she really screws up, everyone in her life says she's a monster.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get there. I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but we'll get there at the end because I do have some thoughts on the end. But so then we get Buffy goes home. She encounters her mom. They're reading the newspaper. We see the mayor, which I love that he's doing a photo op with Boy Scouts and then immediately like talking about, killing vampires and like his ceremony he needs to do. I don't know. There's something that like hits a good spot for me of like, yes, this like seemingly well-mannered politician is actually like the fucking devil. Like I love that because, right. Like, not to be whatever, but like, I feel like if they had made the mayor like a Trumpy sort of dude, it wouldn't have worked, right? Like it works because he is like,
because he's Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Yes. And the fact that he's so like polite and smiley and like giggly and like whatever, like for me, that's what makes the mayor work as a character. Because there's something like very sinister about that.
It's the fake version of what Buffy thinks that she really is when she's on her goody two shoes shit. But it's like you can aesthetically be on your goody two shoes shit, but at the end of the day, like Buffy, you're like pretty bow on your package. Isn't that different than the mayor's? Because fuck Buffy, fuck Faith, fuck Joyce, fuck Buffy, fuck Wesley, fuck Giles, fuck Willow. Because this girl's living in a fucking motel. She's got nothing. The council can't scrounge together $500 for Joyce in supplemental income so she could buy her cereal. Like
that pisses me off so much.
Like life is so precious that we need to be so sad about it. An evil villain who accidentally got killed during a violent attack he was doing. Like, yeah, I guess life is that precious unless it's me living in a fucking, roach-ridden motel.
Right.
Like, it's so weird and shitty and like, but I think the mayor is kind of Buffy's shadow self too in like a way. So it is really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know where we were, but there is another scene with Buffy and Faith after the Buffy Willow scene where Faith says, should we get ribs after this? And it's a line that I've never noticed before, and I clocked it during this watch, and I laughed for like a solid minute afterwards.
I didn't even notice that line, but that is a good line. Also, yeah, okay, so Faith walks in and kind of like, we see this is like also like Willow's no longer liking Faith. They are like in competition for Buffy's attention. But while Willow is the one that will come out next year, I still think Willow, I understand, I am that friend. I am the friend who will get jealous and like in a friend way. So I like seeing both because it's like Faith is like gunning to fuck Buffy and Willow's more like, but we're best friends and we patrol. Like I always patrol with you. Like I would also feel slighted if the person I helped fight evil and save me a lot was like, no, Slayer's only, sorry.
And it's also kind of like Willow maybe subconsciously recognizes something in Faith that she is in competition with for Buffy's attention and affection.
I think you're right. Yeah. And Allison Hannigan plays it like I like her, when her and Faith say hi and they're just like, hi, yeah. And also Faith looks so hot when she walks in. I'm just like, man, like, yeah, love it. So then we go to Balthazar and who has been captured, Rose?
Giles and Wesley.
Yes.
My favorite dynamic duo.
I do feel like this back and forth really like is really good. Like I like Wesley fully fucking freaking out and Giles being like shitty and sarcastic and calm.
He's so unbothered.
Yeah. Like Giles is like, yeah, this is another Tuesday in Sunnydale. What are you talking about? You're nervous already? Like
Also, this was the first time that I kind of caught a vibe between Giles and Wesley.
I feel like Giles hates him too much.
No, but that makes for a really good sex.
True.
Yeah. I was going to say, we can get back to those Ripper days real fast.
Oh,
you think he liked Ethan Rayne all the time? No.
Fair. That is a fair point. Yeah, and then so Wes kind of like breaks pretty quickly, right? He's like, I know where the amulet is, blah, 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 blah.
Snaps like a twig.
Yeah, and Balthazar, it's wild that he snaps so quickly because Balthazar is never like, I'm going to let you go. He's just like, you're gonna fucking die. Like, He says he won't negotiate with them. They can either die quickly or die slowly. And then Buffy enters to save the day. And I gotta point out, I love, like, I know everyone has this, we've like all realized like, oh, Giles is hot. But him sword fighting really did it, right? Like, I loved seeing him be able to do that as opposed to Wesley, who can like do nothing in a fight.
Yeah, and you got to know how to work your sword.
Yeah, man. We're in Sunnydale.
It's such an anticlimactic fight though. When Buffy, the convenient electrocution, it's literally band candy all over again.
It's like when you're at the end of a video game and there's like a really big set piece, but it's not a difficult boss, and you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, yeah, it didn't require any of the Slayer skills her and Faith developed over the course of the episode. It just required her to know like how to like conduct electricity. Which she would have learned in science class, ironically.
If she had stayed, yeah.
And then we cut to Faith's hotel room. And okay, so we kind of talked about this already, but I want to pitch what I think about it. So I do think Buffy tries here. Like, I really do. I think it's a little too late, but I do think there's nothing else Buffy could have done in this scene.
I mean, compassion?
Yeah.
Empathy?
Patience?
Yeah,
because she shows up to, not to say, oh my God, that was so fucked up. Like, I totally understand what happened. Let's figure this out together. She shows up and is like, you did a bad thing.
Yeah. She goes there to assign guilt as opposed to say, like, we're in this. How do we solve this? Like, we, what are you thinking? You know what I mean? She's just like, this is going to suck for you. And I've already called the FBI. Like, fuck you. I also think Faith's solution of like weighting the body and dumping it in the water is like, I think it washes up at some point. Doesn't it wash up at some point?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So it's like, it wasn't a great plan, but I also think it was a better plan than what someone else would have done, which is probably try to magic it away. And then we'd have a whole episode of like body parts reappearing or something.
I do think Faith doesn't help her case with Buffy by being so flippant, by saying, I don't care. Yeah. But I also understand why Faith has to do that. Because she even says, this conversation never happened. I feel like that's probably who this person, this is what they've been conditioned to do in their life when bad things happen. I mean, just think about how we met her. She was coming off the trauma of having her watcher killed and, pretending nothing happened.
That's true. That is true.
I don't think she's looking at her life like, what's the future? Like, she's a Slayer. She thinks she's going to die by the time she's 21. She's just trying to have a good time. Like, I think she is, as someone who had a pretty traumatic growing up situation, but I had the like luxury, I guess, of escapes. Like, you sometimes are just like a wounded animal, and it's like whatever feels good, whatever like quick fix solution, whatever money you can spend to get out of a problem or to hide something from your parents, or like you're just like reacting on impulse and fear and like trauma and it's fucked up. But what makes me sad is that Buffy doesn't see it and be like, I'm in this with you as a friend. She snapped back like disgusted with who she was, with what was in Faith, like this whole part of herself, and like in that disgust she just kind of throws her away. And I think we see that later in Angel. Like, everybody throws Faith away. Everybody does until Angel doesn't. It's one of the only things about like the Angel show that I think is really essential if you're a Buffy fan to like get the full picture, is that when Faith comes back at the end, it's after somebody started showing up for her, you know?
That's true. That is true.
So I don't know. I don't have any compassion for, like, I think Buffy's being awful. And I think, like, even Joyce, it's like, this girl's in a motel. She spent Christmas with you sad as fuck alone in her dirty, smelly clothes. And she's, like, supernaturally linked to your daughter. And you have a spare bedroom for another daughter, should there ever be one. And you don't let her in your house. It's tough. It's tough. This whole scene is tough for me. And I get Buffy's, like, quote unquote, doing her best. But I really think it's, like, textbook best. It's like, well, I went there in an outfit.
Yeah, so many people have failed Faith, and so her arc this season, the trajectory of it makes total sense of where she ends up to me.
Yeah.
Amanda, I'm curious what you think.
Well, respectfully, to go back to earlier when someone said Buffy has also killed somebody. Buffy killed Ted. The difference is, and that's in that episode when Buffy thought she killed Ted, she did later take responsibility and then turn herself into the police. Like Joyce tried to say, "Oh, it was an accident," and then Buffy said, "No, it was me. I killed him." She didn't know that he wasn't really dead and that he was a robot, but in that moment, she thought she had killed a human. And so I think she has been there before, and she could, I read the scene a little differently because it's hard to say, because in a lot of the dialogue, she's saying, we both have to deal. We can help each other. We have to figure out what we want to do. So I don't know if she was necessarily saying, I think you're a monster and I'm turning my back on you. I think she was just we have to make a decision of what we're going to do about this. And then Faith was like, I have made a decision. I dumped the body and I'm not going to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Amanda. I love Faith though. I do love Faith, and I do think early on they needed to be there more for her, especially if we're to assume she is also a young teenager. It's this is a kid. What the fuck is she supposed to do? She should not be living in a fucking rundown cockroach motel. But I feel like Buffy's also a kid, right? And this is I don't know what else there is to do, because she does keep the secret for Faith, because Faith does not want her to talk about it. Faith tells her not to, and she doesn't. And then Faith tells Giles that Buffy did it. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like my ride or die for Buffy just immediately is yeah, but she tried. What the fuck else could she do? She's a kid.
Many people did wrong things in different orders, but I don't love the not. It feels a little cold, but I hear what you're saying. And there were some we statements in there.
But. Yes, and I also think we're probably looking forward a little to what happens in the next episode, because these two do really feel like a pair. But I don't know, I just watching this episode, the scene we didn't talk about where Faith goes back to the body and touches the wound and gets the blood on her hands, really, really got me. I felt for her so much, and I understood that impulse to just want to bury it.
Yeah. No, and I do agree with you. I do understand. I understand both of your defenses of her, because I do agree with most of what y'all are saying too, because I do think she is a kid, and it's she has a trauma response, and she's like, no, Buffy, shut the fuck up. We're not talking about it. I threw the body in the ocean. That's it. And I do get it, because not that it's the same, but I'm sure all of us have been in a situation that was terrible, right? And all you want is for that situation to fucking go away.
Ian, there are 6 bodies I want to throw in the river right the fuck now. Okay? I get it.
And they also, these teenage girls are killing things constantly, every day. Maybe not human beings, but their lives are about murder. And sure,
death is your gift.
Yes, and they've been told that these creatures don't have souls, but I think at 16, 17, 18, you don't really have a concept of what that means. And if your whole life is killing, I think it becomes less. I think it becomes less. The stakes become less high in your mind, and Faith is okay, I made a mistake, and now I'm going to deal with it.
Yeah. No, and I do see that, and also, to call back to the character that only has one scene in this episode, in Ted, Cordelia does say to the Scoobies, she's in the library, and she's the one that's shouldn't the rules be different for Buffy? And I think it's Willow that says, yeah, in a fascist society. And Cordy says, we should have one of those. Just she doesn't know what the word means. But Cordelia is yeah, but it's different for Buffy. And I do think that is correct. That's why I wish she had just gone to Giles, because Giles would have been able to say.
Well, ironically, or I guess not ironically, but in the Alanis Morissette sense, maybe Wesley would have been the best person for them to go to, because Wesley would have turned into book following instructions man and gotten people to clean this up by the book, to turn bureaucratic keys, fill out forms, relocate you, the Catholic Church style,
Because when you think about it, Slayers in, ye old hee-haw times, I'm sure they were killing people left and right.
100%. 100%.
All right, so we are at the end. This episode does not have that much trivia. The only thing I saw of note is that the spell Willow gives her is a spell she was working on in Gingerbread, which we love continuity. And one of the vampires, I have no idea which one this is. I looked at the picture of him. I couldn't place him. One of Balthazar's minions, Vincent, is played by the same actor who played Harlan in Angel's Sense and Sensitivity.
Oh, interesting.
But all right, we are at the end. What do we think Dawn would be doing?
I think Dawn is performatively getting into her bad girl era. So we're seeing a lot of like black lipstick, a lot of like, a pink CD. There's going to be some like You're Not My Real Mom, but like it hits a little home. They pull the soundtrack. And at some point, Buffy runs into her and she's clearly imitating all the like bad girl behavior. And Buffy has to have like a whole heart to heart with her. She gets her really into Mandy Moore.
Rose?
I think Dawn is obsessed with Faith. And anytime Faith comes over, she's one of those adults who treats a kid like an adult and doesn't talk down to them.
Oh, yeah.
So Dawn loves her. And then also, Joyce gets to make waffles because Dawn wants waffles. And so the calories don't count.
A+.
Delicious. Mwah. And yes, oh my God, Faith being cool aunt, like cool, like spends money like crazy, but not rich aunt. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, Buffy's like, Dawn is like, Buffy, why can't you be more like Faith?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Why can't we all?
Amanda?
I'm going to take a slightly different route and say, since from the episode where Dawn is writing in her diaries that she really admired Willow and said she was very similar to Willow,
right.
I would think that during this episode when Buffy is being dismissive of Willow and kind of ignoring the rest of the people in her life, such as Joyce, because she was scanning the paper, she probably during this time would have also been ignoring Dawn, who would have also felt slighted and left out. And I think she would have been spending this time keeping Joyce company. And, also eating the waffles in that scene.
Also.
Oh, and also I will say Dawn was on a school trip to the mayor's office and we get a really menacing scene where she comments on there being like a spider in the room. But it's just a little one.
No, there's definitely a picture in the Summers house of Dawn with the mayor.
Yes.
Shaking his hand as a Girl Scout or whatever.
Yes, I was going to say, they did the Boy Scouts, so she was in the Girl Scout group that like met with the mayor. Oh my God, I would love that.
Oh my God.
So I also think Dawn would be like obsessed with Faith. Faith would be like the coolest person in the world to Dawn, but I do think it would turn when she learned Faith was a murderer. Like I do think that then it's like, oh, I don't like her. Like, oh, she's bad. She's a bad guy. Favorite outfit, Rose?
It has to be the outfits when they're dancing. It's a tie between their matching leather ensembles.
Amanda?
I'm very sorry about this, but I like the outfit when she meets Wesley.
Oh my God.
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
There's a little bit wrong with it.
She looks cute in pink. She does look cute in that color.
I'm sorry. I let all your fans down.
I'm sure there's someone listening who is like, fuck yeah, that was the outfit I liked. And they make fun of it.
I was going to say Buffy's maroon leather club outfit, but I don't want to repeat. I want to give people a variety. So I will also give an honorable mention to anything Cordelia Chase puts on. The woman could wear a chicken suit. She could wear a meat dress. And I would say it looks phenomenal. And that's only two people I can think about that.
I loved Faith's like white long sleeve Henley, whatever the hell it was, with the like black kind of puffy vest and the black leather pants. I think she looks great.
Everything fits her correctly. Like,
yes.
It all fits her torso so well, weirdly enough.
Yeah. Like, I feel like I always think of Faith. When I think of Faith, I think of her as like black leather pants and like a white top. Like, that's what I think of with Faith. But like in my head, it's a tank top. All right. Favorite scene, Amanda?
I think my favorite scene is the scene where we're introduced to Wesley and Buffy and Giles are tag teaming him, because I just think it's so cute when Giles gives that little smile after she says, whenever Giles sends me on assignments, he always says please. And then afterwards I get a cookie.
I do love that. Yeah.
You want to give it to a mayor scene because they're all delights. But I would say the last scene, the line reading for I Don't Care, it holds the whole season together. If she didn't sell that, So you know what? I'll reward it to our heaviest hitter, God's strongest warrior, Eliza Dushku.
Rose?
Come to my window.
True.
That
True.
is one of the everlasting moments of Buffy to me, and of this season specifically.
You are correct. Yes.
Yeah,
it
you're
is.
right. That was a huge oversight.
Yeah. Fuck you all.
I am gonna go with I like Kathy because I just am very at it. All right, what grade do we give this episode, Rose?
I'm gonna say a solid B.
Okay. Amanda?
I would agree with that. I would also give it a B.
Okay.
It's a B movie.
Yeah, I give it a B plus. Yeah.
Yes,
B for bad.
B for Buffy.
B for bad girls.
B for Buffy and bad
B for
girls.
bisexual.
Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for listening and being part of the Patreon. Rose, tell everyone where they can find you and your things.
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at RoseDomu. You can also subscribe to my Substack, Malgoth. It's rosedomu.substack.com.
And Amanda, tell everyone where they can find you and your things.
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky under Amanda W.T. Wong, W-O-N-G.
Cool. And we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.